I'm Kurt Hauswirth with Public Radio 90. Our guest today is Marquette musician Dylan Trost of the surf rock trio Ramble Tamble. They're celebrating the release of their self-titled album, and as a part of that celebration, they're performing at the Ordog Brewing Company Thursday, April 24th for the release. And on the other end, that'll be in the community space upstairs. The other end will be the vinyl record show as well. So glad to have you with us today, Dylan.
Pleasure to be here, Kurt. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So Ramble Tamble has gifted the Marquette area with some rip-roaring surf rock for some time now, and we'll get talking about the release pretty soon. But Dylan, you've been active in the Marquette music scene for a while, for a number of years. Can you tell us what got you into music, and did you always have an affinity for performing and also playing guitar in general?
Well, I guess I started playing guitar. I've always had an affinity for music. I remember loving The Who at a very young age in my dad's car. I was, I don't know, 4 or 5 or 6 or something like that. But I didn't get an instrument until I was maybe 11 years old. I'm 30 now, so I've been playing for a while. I played whatever I can get my hands on, usually.
Yeah.
Yeah, and an affinity for performing. As soon as I got an instrument, I started writing songs. I didn't even know how to play the thing, and I was writing songs. And I just, performing just kind of happened. I never really thought too much about it, I guess. I still don't, really.
That's probably a good thing.
Yeah, I tend to get nervous if I think too much about it, you know.
Well, it sounds like you're naturally inclined to be creative, you know, and like you said, not just with guitar or whatever you can find to perform with. And you performed in a variety of bands too, and also as a solo act. When I think about your performance style, it's multifaceted because I think about the God Eaters and how hard-edged that is compared to something like a more maybe roots or folk sound that comes from like your solo release. But one of the common threads is guitar playing for you. So with Ramble Tamble, what got you interested in playing surf rock music?
Well, I've always loved surf rock music, and you know, the other members of the band, drummer Chris Bloom and my brother Dylan Trost, who is in the God Eaters with me, we've all been playing music together for a long time. Chris and I were playing music, you know, when I was still in high school. You know, it was over 10 years ago, and we just always we always played heavy music, punk rock music, but we love, you know, we're not just stuck with that. Surf music was something we always loved. We always jammed on it just for fun. You know, we're not just interested in one sound at all times. And surf rock thing just kind of happened. I don't know. Ramble Tamble started. I used to have these regular Monday gigs at Black Rocks just playing acoustic guitar and singing folk songs, but I got bored of that pretty quick, and I started just inviting Devin and Chris down to just play with me. And we kind of started out, Ramble Tamble kind of started out as like a bar band. Like we were just playing Crazy Horse songs and Canned Heat and stuff like that. And then when the pandemic happened, we weren't playing, and I was just playing a lot of guitar in my studio, and I got a baritone guitar, which just kind of has a surfy sound. And
say a staple of a lot of surf rock kind of sounds.
Exactly. And I just started writing surf songs, and I was like, what if we just were a surf band instead? That's way more fun.
Yeah.
And it has been a lot of fun. So I just kind of, again, just happened by accident. You know, there was really we don't really have a plan or much of a goal, really. We just like to play and hang out and write music together.
Yeah. And if it makes sense to you, then why not pursue it further? So that's awesome. Speaking of the name Ramble Tamble and talking about some of the influences from the past, Ramble Tamble is also the title of a Creedence Clearwater Revival song. So how did the name of the group come about? Is there a connection with CCR?
Well, we love CCR. And I rent a studio down in the Lakeshore Park building, and it's it's just this funky, it's a huge warehouse space. It's lofted, it's gigantic. And CCR had this practice space called the Factory. And my favorite CCR record is Cosmo's Factory, which has Ramble Tamble on it. And so it's just, again, that name was just kind of an accident. We didn't really think about it. We needed a name from when we were playing at Black Rocks, and we had all sorts of names, actually. Every week we had a different name.
Do you have a few others that you can share right now?
I remember one was Shrek Shirt, because my brother likes to wear giant shirts, which is kind of a silly name. I can't really remember any of the other ones, but Ramble Tamble was just kind of the one that stuck, and we liked it, and it's fun to say, and it, you know, it's the CCR thing. Again, right. An accident.
Yeah,
purely
yeah.
An accident.
I feel like maybe there's some like spiritual successor connection there or something. I don't know.
Perhaps. Perhaps.
But along with speaking about like the jam space, the place that you work in, for this music, this is also Marquette-based release, and I wanted to talk about the mixing and mastering side of things. I know Pete Gummerson myself, another Marquette musician, and starting to know him more as like a studio wizard in some ways.
Yes.
And it's funny, on the Bandcamp page for this release, it says he's kind of like the George Martin for you guys. So can you tell us a bit about what Pete brought to the table for the making of the album?
Sure. Well, Pete, you know, is my best buddy, and, you know, we've made a lot of music together, and whenever I'm looking to record, he's usually the guy I'm wanting to work with, just because I appreciate his willingness to accommodate my pretty, you know, I'm not very demanding by any means, but I've got some weird ideas sometimes, and he always pushes me a bit further. And he's very enthusiastic, and I like to work fast and kind of quick and dirty. And Pete can accommodate me there. You know, he can do it the other way too, but he knows how I work. And so when we were looking to record this, there was no question in my mind. I was gonna do it myself. We record on a tape machine, because I don't have a computer. That's how I record, on tape. And Pete accommodates me there. And we could have done it ourselves, but to have an engineer there who can press the record button and set up mics, and he knows a lot more about that than me. And he's just fun to have around. He's a funny guy. I love him to death, and he always has something funny to say, and some interesting input, and some cool idea. And
he does more than just press record.
I couldn't even imagine making a record. What's that?
I was just saying he does more than just press record. He brings some insight into the process.
Oh yeah, he does. And I couldn't even really imagine making a record without him. It would be strange. So he is, and I suspect at some point we'll have him play on one of our records, you know, because he's a great keyboardist. He's just a fun guy. What have I always said about, that he's an instigator of fun. Truly an instigator of fun. And sometimes it's trouble, and sometimes it's not so much trouble, but it's always a good time, for sure.
Good. Sounds like
and he's a brilliant engineer. And I think Marquette's lucky to have him.
Absolutely. A hard agree there, for sure. Well, I want to share a memory that I have of Ramble Tamble from last summer. It's just like a little microcosmic kind of thing, but I think it was during Art Week, and my family and I usually take a walk one side down 3rd Street and then up the other side. It may have been Art Week, or it may have been another occasion, but I remember hearing the sound of Ramble Tamble playing in the Black Rocks Brewery. You know, they have the new side stage area, and I just thought that's such a perfect like summer in Marquette sound. I thought it was just a great moment where it's a lot of people gathering around, and you could hear the sound of this like surf rock guitar coming through the mix of all these people talking and stuff. So, you know, you'd mentioned earlier that there's not necessarily a set goal for Ramble Tamble, but at the same time, you're getting more of a following. You've got a release coming out now. And, you know, so I was just wondering what you see in the future for Ramble Tamble. Are you looking to maybe provide more of those kind of like summer vibes in the Marquette area, or just try to deliver some kind of the same enjoyment you get in the studio to all these people?
I guess all of that, you know, we work really hard. I guess we have, you know, we want to release 2 or 3 or 4 albums a year, you know, because we write a lot. We really want to play on the beach this summer.
Nice, perfect.
Which I have been talking with the Marquette Arts and Culture Center a little bit about that. So that's bound to happen. Really, we just want to play our music. You know, I think no matter, whenever we play, we always bring we have like palm trees and stuff we bring as kind of a shtick and kind of silly, but it's fun for us, you know, to just bring the summer vibe. Because I mean, there's really no place better than Marquette in the summertime, you know?
Yeah. Especially after some of the hardships of winter and second winter and everything that we go through, that we're currently going through.
Yeah. We really just want to have fun, and hopefully that you know, gets passed on to whoever is listening to us. You know, we're having a good time. We're gonna have a good time no matter what, and hopefully that gets projected to the audience, because then, you know, we feed off of that too. And that tends to happen at every show we play. More people come to the shows. I feel like every show there's more people, new people, and it's just this great reciprocal thing. I've been joking, like I should have started a surf rock band 10 years ago.
Oh, everything has led up to this point.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good thing. Dylan Trost is our guest today. He plays guitar in the Marquette trio Ramble Tamble, talking about their self-titled release, and they're performing at the Ordock Brewing Company this weekend. So the album itself has 5 tracks. And you've mentioned a couple of them are kind of more of the standout tracks that you can hear on the album, and also we'll feature those on the shuffle coming up too. Tell us a bit about how you selected the tracks for this album, because you said you've got a lot of material out there. One of these is influenced by a Rihanna track, and should also say part of that other memory I have is listening to, I think it was a cover of Britney's Toxic, right?
Yeah, we love Britney Spears.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how did the tracks get selected for this first run of releases from Ramble Tamble?
Well, they're kind of our earliest songs. Just kind of wanted to get them out of the way so they're archived and we can move on. We actually it's really funny because we had plans to record maybe 1 or 2 more to put on this album, but for some reason we just forgot. These tracks, like I was saying, they're just the early ones, you know. Space Devils on there, that may have been the first one that I wrote for the band. I demoed it, like, you know, even before we were getting together, I had a few demos that I was able to send to the group. And Bonanza is another early one. Yeah, they're just fun tracks. I don't know, they're just early, want to get them out of the way, ready, so we can feel like we can kind of dial in the ones for the next record we'll record in another month or 2, you know.
Yeah, it gives you some ammo for the future to help inform maybe where you want to go with some of those next releases. So and a good taster of the early sound of Ramble Tamble in an artifact for people. So that's
we recorded it all live, so it's how we sound live. You know, I think we did 1 acoustic guitar overdub on Monkey Wrenching, this first song on the record. That was it. Everything else is just live. So I've already got, I think we'll always kind of stick with that live feel, but I've got some ideas that, you know, for next time. For next time.
Once we get to the let's say Sgt. Pepper Ramble Tamble album someday,
I would like to make one of those very badly, and we will.
Well, at least you have a George Martin-esque person helping you out with that too. So, you know, it's a natural.
They recorded Sgt. Pepper on a 4-track machine. That's what we record on.
There you go. It all makes sense. Oh,
Yeah.
well, Dylan is one of the 3 members of Ramble Tamble, and we're speaking about their self-titled release. Is there anything else that you'd like to mention about any of these tracks or the making of this album?
You know, everything we mostly did ourselves with the help of some really special friends. You know, Pete Gummerson, our friend Lindsay Naylor designed our logo, which we used for the album. Our friend Nick Erickson and Kayla Strange at Repeater Press printed all of our t-shirts. Our drummer tie-dyed all the t-shirts. I had Fred's Rubber Stamp make stamps with our logo on it, and I stamped every single CD. Just this morning on my typewriter, I was typing out all the liner notes, and I copied them and, you know, cut them all out so they fit into the CD. So everything is like it's a very DIY aesthetic. And we're really grateful for our friends who helped us. And in regards to the show coming up on Thursday at the Ordock, you know, you mentioned the pop-up vinyl record show with Jeff Walker and John Teichman, who are good friends of ours. And our friend Chelsea, the artist Soft Sea, is also going to have a pop-up art sale. And she's a really good friend of ours, and she designed the flyer for the show. She's a brilliant artist, and we're really excited that she's going to be there at the show as well, selling some of her art. I think that's about it, you know, in regards to the record. You know, expect another one soon.
Yeah. And otherwise, people just need to hear it at this point. Either hear it or see you in person, or both, yeah, of course. And maybe look forward to keep coming up with ideas, but look forward to the Ramble Tamble Boardwalk show down at the beach at some point.
I can't wait to. Oh, and the record, I should mention, is on Bandcamp, and will be on Spotify and all the streaming places tomorrow, if that means anything to people. But yeah, playing on the boardwalk, I like that idea. play at the end of the Ordock would be great.
Oh my goodness. Fantastic. Dreaming big with Dylan Trost here, one of the members of Ramble Tamble, again celebrating the release of their self-titled album. As you just heard, handcrafted in a very DIY aesthetic, and lots of love and friendship poured into that album. So Dylan, thanks for speaking with me today about the release.
Thank you, Kurt. Yeah.
Good luck with the release as well, and with your performances coming up.
Thanks, Kurt. Yeah, thanks for having me.